All right, how's it going? My name is Jesse, and I have my co-founder here, Kevin. We are here to present to you guys the Pebble walkthrough, the full walkthrough in 2026. This is early 2026 when we're recording this, giving you an insight of where is Pebble at this point. And we've been a company that has been around for several years now and really a platform for land investors and land investing teams. And so we're going to go through a complete walkthrough in this video. In the description, you're going to be able to jump into different sections as well as on the little timeline tracker. You're going to be able to jump around if you needed to. But we're first going to start off describing what is Pebble. So Pebble is really a land investing platform. It contains and is centered around your property data. It has parts of it has a CRM built into it, has document generation in there, follow-ups. You're going to be able to slice and dice your data however you'd like inside of there, be able to pull things up quickly. But really, it is a centralized way for you to manage all the data and all the properties that you are marketing to. So that's what Pebble is. And who is it for? It's really for those that are actively running land investing businesses and also land investing teams as well. So if you're a serious land investor and you want to scale and you want to bring your whole team on the same page, Pebble is built for that. And we're going to sort of go through this in a few sections here. We're going to be talking about the properties again, but the property is really the basis of Pebble. Everything gets surrounded around around the property. A lot of CRMs out there, they are what we call contact based. But when we sort of look at sort of the life cycle of land investing, we are acquiring the property, we're doing something with that property, and we're offloading the property. The seller is only, the beginning part of this, and what's sort of the common denominator across the entire cycle is the property record itself. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to dive in that together. We're going to look at what our campaigns. We're expecting you to be doing some form of marketing when it comes to your properties that you're reaching out to. We're going to be talking about how communication works within our inbox, our unified inbox, and then we're going to talk about the deal boards and how we sort of manage those opportunities that come into you, but also your projects. How are you managing your projects? Because a lot of us are getting into, what is it out there, Kevin? Like subdividing, forced entitlements, forced appreciation, what else?
Yeah, probates
Yeah.
and commercial development. There's a whole host of different strategies that people are using, and we built Pebble to be able to handle any way that your business operates.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm going to jump to sharing my screen here in a second. All right. So we are inside of Pebble. Currently, you're looking at our dashboard. We've got a bunch of KPIs to really help you optimize on your business. We have a summary up at the top here. We have our return on investment numbers. We also track offers made, properties purchased, properties sold. Also communication. Communication is huge for a lot of people and sort of the founders of their land investing business. They want to be able to see how much talk time is being put into this, how much time are we putting into communicating and nurturing our leads. You're also going to see some ROI numbers here at the bottom. Kevin, is there any other key things I might be missing here on the dashboard since we're on the screen already?
Yeah, so a few things. So you can filter these things by date. So you can see how I'm doing this month or this year or this week. If you really want to hone in on what those numbers are, you can also check on your team members, who's making calls, who's doing deals, all of those things. And then really that ROI numbers at the bottom there is your driver of success. So we want to be able to really look at what is my total spend on a property, what is my profit, how long is this property sitting in my inventory. Those are all key drivers to profitability, and we try to lay those out really well right there.
Awesome. Yeah, we were just talking about team members here. There's a lot of team functionality. I'm sort of sidetracking here, but under tasks, you're going to be able to, as the owner of the business, you're going to be able to log in to see who's doing what needs to be done, when the due dates are. When they log in, they know exactly what they need to work through, so on and so forth. So there are a lot of team functionalities. Assigning tasks, auto-assigning tasks, making sure people follow up, to communication about a project, you're going to be able to do all of that. I want to stay on track here, and I want to talk about properties. That, again, is really the start of everything. Getting in properties. And how do we do that? We do it through the campaign screen here. So the only reason why you're ever going to bring any properties into Pebble is probably because you're going to be marketing to them. And that's why under campaigns here, this is the marketing campaign. This is where we're doing our outbound marketing. This is how we bring in our properties. When we bring it in through here by just dragging and dropping in literally a CSV spreadsheet, it's going to also create the record, the property record in the database as well. So
as well as the contacts. So you'll have your contacts data and your properties.
And so when you bring it in, and I'm going to walk through this, when you bring it in here, these are basically just containers of properties that, they're containers that you've sort of done some marketing to those properties. So I'm going to go ahead and hit add campaign, and then I'm going to give this a name. And we're just going to walk through this. We're going to bring in a set of properties here. So I'll call this walkthrough campaign. Probably not the best here. And let's pretend we're doing direct mail. We're going to go ahead and hit save here. All right, so very simple. You're going to enter in your county. I'm just going to look for one here. And this is land, and I'm going to drag and drop my CSV file. Now, if you are getting your data from any of the major data providers, including DataTree to the county to niche providers like Land Portal and Land Insights, you're just going to drag and drop that spreadsheet in. And we're sort of allowing our users to be able to drag in any sort of a data provider. Some of you guys may provide working with something, Property Radar to PropStream. You have your own preferences. We're not going to lock you into any sort of a data source. So once you drag it in, you're going to map those column headers. You don't need to do anything with that list. You don't need to format the column headers. The only thing is, if you are going to make an offer out of the gate, some people call it a blind offer, you'll want a column of your offers on there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my spreadsheet right now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop my list in here. I've got my list from the DataTree a while back, and I'm going to simply hit upload. All right, so you'll see in the next screen here, what we're doing is we're matching what we call our column headers to our property fields, right? So we want to be able to tell Pebble, okay, well, this column is the APN, so bring it into the APN or the property assessor's parcel number property field. And Pebble will actually auto-detect some of these, especially those major providers. And once you've mapped it once, Pebble will always remember that mapping that you've set up. So mine is a newer list, but I'm going to go ahead and look for this information. So I've gone ahead and matched up some of these column headers to these property fields, including acreage, legal description, and latitude and longitude. Now, the great thing about bringing in the GPS coordinates like the latitude and longitude, we're going to be able to utilize our mapping system inside of Pebble. And also, if you wanted to print the map on a letter, I've got an example here. Pebble will actually pull that satellite image and print a unique image for every single mailer, a huge, huge converter and a highly personalized letter. You can do this on a postcard. You can do this on the letter, top of the letter. You can do it on the full windowed envelope where you can actually see the map on the envelope. So it's really, really cool. Now, you can actually bring in more information, and we suggest you to bring in as much as possible. So if I hit show all, there's going to be a lot more different property fields. And we're going to show that a little bit later in this video here. But yeah, you can definitely bring in more. Now, if you do have an offer price, you can bring that in. I do have a column for that, so I'm going to match that up. And if you're doing something like a ranged offer, the price secondary, this is if you want to do a ranged offer because the price will become the lower limit of the range and the price secondary will be the upper limit of that range. I'm not doing a range offer here. I'm just going to actually send out an offer. So once I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and hit at the bottom here, import. Now, I know I am missing actually some key information, like a couple addresses, like a couple of mailing addresses. It's only 2 out of the 399 or 1 out of 399. I don't really care. Now I can review it and bring it back in and update the spreadsheet and re-upload it. But when it's like 1 or 2, I don't have it. I'm not really going to waste time here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit view campaign. So here is the campaign itself. I can see that every owner name is here. Every white box is actually going to be a mailer if I'm going to send out mailing. You don't have to. You don't have to do your mailing through Pebble. Every property will have an APN that I can click on. You're going to see the mailing address. I have some phone numbers. We've also generated a code here. This is really important, especially if you're doing mailing. Whether you're doing mailing through us or another mail house, you'll want to include this code because this will help identify who got back to you, what property, and what campaign they belong to. Because I may mail Mark here 3-4 times across the year, and I want to know which mailer got me to get him to respond to me. That is huge, important data for me because I want to be able to optimize on my marketing. I know that that third mailer performed really well. Well, when he gives me this code, I'll know it belongs to this campaign, not just to the property, but to the campaign itself. And on the right side here, you'll see the offers that I brought in. Kevin, anything that I'm missing here that I should talk about?
Yeah, so just to follow up on the contacts there. So if you brought in Bruce or Mark here multiple times, Pebble's going to recognize that that contact is in your database. So like I noticed here, if you scroll down, Jesse, there's one of these that's marked as a do not mail. So Joe Brooks, what that means is that in a past campaign, I brought Joe in and Joe sent me a message that says, I don't want to receive letters from you again. I marked him as do not mail so that at any time in the future, if I bring in Joe again, he's going to be listed as do not mail, and that mailer will actually just not go out. So we'll just stop at that mailer and Joe won't receive anything. So that prevents any headaches from Joe getting mailers again, and it saves you money because you're not mailing to somebody who told you not to mail them anymore.
Yeah, and the great thing about Pebble and the contacts, if we notice somebody on that list owned multiple properties, let's just say, for example, Janet here owns like 3 parcels that we uploaded in that list. By the way, we recommend you not to remove duplicate owners. It'll actually group this into one mailing piece. If, again, you are running a mailing campaign, you don't have to be. If you're doing cold calling, great. You can click here and cold call, or you're still going to bring in your list here to track those properties and those leads when they come in. But if it is a mailing campaign, it'll actually show 2 or 3 or multiple APNs here. And if you had an offer for each one of them, it'll actually total up that offer. So on the letter, you have the highest amount value on there. That'll get them to call you back. You may not want to take all her properties, but it'll get you having that discussion. And then you can start whittling down to the properties you actually want to accept. The whole goal here, right, is to get a lead response so that you can continue to nurture that lead and then negotiate on that deal. So yeah, great mention about the contacts here. And at this point here, if we wanted to mail here, we'll go ahead and start the direct mail by hitting the button up at the top here. All right, so on this step, we're going to choose a letter template to send out. And we'll show it later in this video where all your templates live. But you can see on this count, we've got a lot of letter templates. I'm just going to go ahead and select one of these here. And you can see it generates a very generic blind offer. You get a chance to proof this. You can still see my name is still here, highlighted in yellow, my signature. That means I need to go back to the template and actually change it to my name. That's not dynamic information, but everything else is dynamic. If you have a look here, the parcel number is dynamic. It added that. It also added the code that we generated, so on and so forth. We've got a purchase agreement here. And so we're going to get a chance to proof that very first one here. So make sure you do go through that. Once that is good, you want to select a return address, an envelope type. You verify that this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Here, I'm going to set up my mailing settings like the mail type, black and white, double-sided, whether it has a live stamp or not, if you want to add a slogan or a tagline on the front of the envelope, and it's going to give me an estimated campaign cost. Kevin, can you help explain to us why this is sort of an estimated campaign cost?
Yeah, so we're going to base that campaign off of all of your mail sending correctly and everything lining up in terms of pages. So for various reasons, sometimes pages can get longer or shorter based on the content of those placeholders. If you're printing out a legal description and you've got a property that has a 3-paragraph legal description, it's going to push your content onto a different page. So there may be some changes in what actually gets charged for when the campaign actually runs, but we won't know that until we actually run it. So this is just the estimated campaign costs, and then once the campaign runs, you'll have a complete number once that.
Yeah. And then after that, you can also set up your daily send count. So this is really great for dripping out those mailers so you don't get hit with all these calls suddenly. So maybe you want to do 50 a day. But for some of you guys that are getting started with the system early on, maybe you want to just do, 5 a day just to get the motion moving. And then when you're confident, like you realize everything's good with your letter, maybe you weren't sure about the formatting or you're nervous about something, go ahead and send 5 a day for the first 5 days. And then you can come back to this campaign, and then make the adjustment. You can pause it and reactivate it and set it at, 100 a day and let those sort of an open open up that faucet to just send out more. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. And then I'm going to complete my payment information, pay that, that estimated cost. And then that will start running. Okay. So we talked a little bit about the campaign here. We talked about activating the campaign. If you are doing some sort of a third-party service of getting marketing out there, you can also go and hit edit here. Let's say you're doing some cold calling with somebody else that you're paying. You can add that cost here. That will sort of help you calculate your return on your ad spend and your return on investment as well. Okay, last thing I want to show you is, or next thing I want to show you is really quickly where the properties get created when we bring it in from the campaigns. As I said, these are a container of all these properties, but your master list of all your properties and contacts now live in the database area. So if you just go ahead and hit properties here, you can see all your properties listed here. I'm going to actually jump into this a little bit later. We're going to revisit the property. We're going to talk a little bit about the properties that get generated, like the property page itself. We're going to look at sort of the different parts of the property. Okay. But first, I want to jump into the documents area. Under templates here, this is where all your templates live. You have mail templates or document templates, email templates, and texting templates. If you wanted to generate any sort of a letter or document template and add it to your own library, you can go ahead and hit add template here. And let's say add mail template. So these are actual letter templates. You can print them out yourself. You can download it as a PDF once you generate it, but you can see all our templates. We've got marketing templates, offer templates, neighbor letters, stuff like this is really personalized with a map on that envelope window there. We've got checks, we've got comp reports that maybe you want to forward to a funder maybe. Yeah, a lot of different templates. Again, you can also generate a blank one and bring your own designs in. And create whatever you'd like. So you do have the templates here. Now, once you bring a template in here, you can come into the editor by clicking onto the document itself. And here is our template editor. You can see that in these blue highlights, these are what we call placeholders. This is dynamic information. It will not show up as blue. It'll actually get auto-populated. But if you see something like this or it's highlighted yellow, this is definitely an area you want to fill in yourself. Common things, owner names and phone numbers. Anything else, Kevin, that typically manually they have to fill in?
Yeah, any signature, if you're going to put your own signature, you can upload an image of your signature and just place that right there on the signature line. You can do all sorts of things. We have a full custom field option, so you can type in you can do full custom fields for any data that you want. And we've got many people are doing some pretty cool stuff with their templates. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you want to find more placeholders, they live here. These are all sort of dynamic, even including like today's date or today's date plus 40, today's date plus 90. It'll actually calculate that date based on the date it actually gets sent out or generated. Properties, these custom fields, these property placeholders are based on the property fields, and you can actually generate more. I'm going to go through that a little bit later when we sort of break down the anatomy of a property record page. You can actually create more placeholders. So maybe you want to do a follow-up with an offer 1 and an offer 2 and an offer 3 and just drip those out as a follow-up in letter templates. You can certainly do that using like this, offer price 1, offer price 2, offer price 3 and 4. I've actually got a video of this on our knowledge base and our YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. All right, so that is our template editor. The next thing I do want to talk about now is our inbox. So let's jump in. We've gotten out our marketing. We now are going to start getting leads and people are going to communicate with us. You might have told them on a letter to mail you or mail you back, but not often. They may email you, they may call you, leave us a voicemail, they may text you, they may fill out a website form. All those communication channels will end up in one place. It's why we call it our unified inbox. It unifies all those different communication lines into one place. So this means I don't need to jump into a phone line like Ring Central and then jump into my
Email
email
inbox.
inbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it all in one place. And there's a way to connect all of that in here. So you can see this is your inbox here. I like to describe this as, right, it almost looks like a email inbox where you've got like on the left here, just a preview of that message. And if you click into it, you'll actually see the message there, or you're going to be able to listen to that a voicemail or that phone call recording. We'll also transcribe everything. We'll summarize things inside of here. So the dialogue is in the middle here. And on the right here is how we're going to create the deal. So the next step after the inbox is creating the deal opportunity on the deal board. The inbox's purpose is for you to decide, is this an opportunity or not? If somebody mailed me or emailed me, got back to me, I'm here sitting thinking, is this an opportunity or not? Somebody says, go away, don't ever mail me again. Well, I'll mark them as do not mail. If somebody's interested, wants to learn a little bit more, well, great. I need to move that into my deal board. But before we do that, we're just going to talk about how to set things up inside of the inbox. So Kevin, why don't you walk us through here to connect things? How do we pipe things into Pebble, Pebble's inbox here? I'm going to go ahead and hit settings. Let's
Yeah.
kind of go through each one of these
So if
here.
so if you go into settings, this is where we set up everything for your inbox. So the first thing you'll have is the inbox name. You can name it anything you want. We have here 2 seller inboxes. So we've got seller inbox 1 and seller inbox 2. This may make sense if you have, maybe you're doing land and housing at the same time and you want to separate those leads so that you're not cross communicating those. You can set up separate inboxes for that. Maybe you have multiple acquisition managers and you want each one to have their own inbox. You can set that up as well. Next, we've got the inbox email address. So what this is a Pebble provided email address, and this allows you to copy paste this email and give it to things like land.com, or if you have a landing page system that you run on your website and that's able to send email submissions. You can give that email address to that service. Any email that gets sent to that email address will land in your inbox. Now, we don't recommend giving this out to individual people to email. This is really just for those automated systems, Zillow, land.com, to email things into your inbox.
I would even say, would you say like even a traveling mailbox, like if they always forward a scan of it, I feel like this email address is better than your own own email address, because then it doesn't flood your Gmail or Google G Suite email account. You have it all and it's always automated. So that's another really good opportunity. If it's always going to be automated, like Kevin said, I would use that email address. You don't have
Yeah,
to, but it's nice that we sort of create that for you, be able to pipe
exactly.
things in that way.
So next up, we've got the connected email account. So if you're coming in here for the first time, you will see a button that says connect an email account. And this allows you to connect your actual business email to your Pebble inbox. So whether you're on Microsoft Outlook or Gmail, or you have your own Photon Mail or different provider, you can connect your email account to Pebble so that Pebble is able to send and receive emails on your behalf. Basically, it would be the same as you opening up your Gmail account and sending an email there, but now you don't have to leave Pebble. Everything's just going to live there. And with that connected email account, we can decide which emails to sync over to Pebble. You can either sync all emails. If this is a dedicated email that's only for your land business, and every email that gets sent to that inbox should land in Pebble, or should be visible in Pebble, you can say sync all emails from this account. Or if you only want those emails to sync over that are specifically from a contact that you have in your Pebble database, then you could say that first option, sync only emails from this account that match my Pebble contacts list. So this could be useful if you have an email account that you use for multiple different things and you don't want all of your emails coming into Pebble, you can just sync those that are part of your Pebble contacts list. All right, next up, phone numbers. So this is where we get to create phone numbers. We get to add phone numbers. We really recommend that you add phone numbers local to the counties that you're working in. So if you're working in Seattle, you can add a phone number there. So you can search by area code. You can also search by individual digits. Let's say you want to put the name of your business as digits. You can filter those. Yeah, so there we've got some land digits there. And so you can add individual numbers and you can do multiple of them. So that's a great way because you may want to have a local phone number in multiple different areas for all those different areas that you're working. and send those letters out with that local phone number. That just helps drive up that reputation a little bit more if somebody receives a letter with a local phone number on there. We also have toll-free numbers, and if you have an existing phone number, maybe you have an open phone account or you have one of the other dialing apps out there that has a phone number, you can port that number over to Pebble. And so you just reach out to support and we'll get that process started for you.
All right. And let's jump into the lead forms.
Yeah, so this is another way that we can bring information from our leads into Pebble. And this is a really cool way because it works right with our websites. So we can create what we call a lead form. So just like it sounds, this is a form that lives either on your website, or you can send people directly to this form within Pebble. And these lead forms can contain any questions that you want to ask that person. So by default, we're going to ask for their email, phone, and their offer code. And you can determine whether you want to show any of that information. So if you don't care about somebody's email, you can just hide that field, phone, and the campaign code. You can choose to hide that or make it optional or make it required. If you really want to have that campaign code every time somebody fills out your form, you can set that up. You can also change some opt-in language. So this is important if you are planning to auto respond to these people. You want to make sure that they've opted in to receiving those text messages. So you can set that opt-in language, make that a required checkbox that they have to set there when they fill out that form. And then we have the ability to ask any other questions we want. So you might want to ask, how long have you owned this property? Or, are there other owners? Or how did you purchase this property? What year did you purchase it? All of these sort of things that you may want to ask along with their basic contact information. At the very bottom here, we have the ability to auto respond when somebody submits this form. So either via text message or via email, you can choose to automatically respond and put any message you want in there. So you can automatically text message them if they fill out a phone number, or you can send them an email if they filled out their email.
Yeah, and the lead form is really great because you may want to put this on your website. You can also share, once we generate this, you can embed it on any website. You can also share this as a link. And when you do that, you can give this to like a call answering service, or maybe somebody on your team if they want to fill it out here. Or you can even bookmark this as an icon on your screen. So when somebody calls you, you can actually just jump right here and submit this in. Maybe you're always on the road. So you've got a really handy tool there with your forms. Okay, there are also phone number settings here. We won't go into detail here, but if you click on a phone number here and hit edit, you can name this phone number. Why would you want to name this phone number here, Kevin?
Yeah, so maybe you've got different phone numbers for different counties. Like we said, you can name them by county. A lot of times that's easier than trying to remember that full phone number. So you can say, you can give it a specific county name. If there's a number that belongs to a specific acquisition manager, you can name that number based on that acquisition manager name. You can also add a voicemail greeting. So you can change. By default, it'll just end the call after 30 seconds here, but you can also set it to record a voicemail and tell it when to do that. If you want it to go straight to voicemail, you can set the ring duration to, I think there's a 0 option there, to just go straight to voicemail. There's also forwarding numbers. So if you have a personal phone number and you want to forward this local number to your personal cell phone, you can set that up here. And so this is the settings for each individual phone number, and you can do this on a specific phone number, which is great because you may want to record, county specific messages in those phone numbers. So depending on who is reaching out to you at which location, you can record a voicemail greeting that's specific for their city or their county that they're in.
All right, let's jump into talking about one last way to sort of manage some of these settings when it comes to communicating into your inbox. We have something called our Pebble Intelligence, our PI intake agent. This is our conversational AI system inside of Pebble. Kevin, why don't you walk us through the technicalities of this?
Yeah, so this is a great way to take in leads without you having to answer the phone all day. I know that this This was a huge barrier for me, was just once I started sending lots and lots of mail, you're going to get lots and lots of calls. And a lot of times the people calling you are not actually interested in selling something, or maybe they're just tire kicking, maybe they're yelling at you, telling you not to call them again. If you don't want to be answering those phone calls all day, we have this Pebble Intelligence agent, intake agent, and it's actually a conversational AI that's going to answer the phone for you and have a conversation with that lead before that phone call gets to you. Now, the goal here with the agent is to just determine, is this a serious seller or buyer? If they're a serious seller, we want to know, is this person actually interested in selling the property? Do they have a mailer code? Are they interested in talking to me about an offer? Like, all of these things are important to know, and the AI agent is going to ask those questions and then determine, is this a legitimate lead or just somebody bogus? If it's somebody bogus, they're going to end the call gracefully as possible. But if this is a lead, you can actually set that up to forward directly to you, the Pebble user. So you can have it automatically connect hot leads to a Pebble team member, which means it's just going to dial into Pebble directly once it determines that this is a legitimate lead, so that you can now have that one-on-one conversation. Or it's going to send it to voicemail if you want it to send everything to voicemail. So you can do that as well.
Couple little things here. You'll want to fill out information about your company here, your company name, and the name of the agent. And one of the great things I love about the intake agent is its sole purpose is to intake properties. It'll actually track for the mail, the code, that the campaign record code that we generate for each mail piece too, and generate that deal for you and get everything set up. So it's promptless. We don't need to build out this complex prompt. This is something that we've engineered in the background already. It knows what its sole purpose is to do. All you need to do is fill out some of this information, turn on some of these intake questions, and you're ready, and choose a voice. You've got several voices here. You can start a call. You can see what that's like. You can preview it. One really big thing here for us as we sort of come into this world of AI is like, how does Pebble produce an outcome for you? So we're not charging here for every minute that you're using this like most systems are. What you're going to be charged for is the actual deals that are created. And so if you get a lot of people that are just calling to say, yeah, take me off your list, that's not a deal. You're not going to get charged for that. So only things that end up on your deal board that are, deemed as a potential opportunity, that is the only time you'll get charged for that, which is huge for a lot of people, because we know a lot of people spend tons and tons of money on a call answering service that has inconsistencies and emotions baked into human, and also the cost of that, it gets really, really expensive. So this is a huge cost saver, has been for a lot of our users, and we're seeing a huge adoption of this feature. Again, that's our intake agent. All right. Kevin has walked through all the technical ways to set up your inbox here. Again, I want to remind you, inbox is how we get all that communication into Pebble. And then from here, when we read or listen to these voicemails, we're going to determine, is this a deal opportunity or not? If it is, we're going to move it over to our deal board. And there's a really easy way to do so. So let's just pretend this was a voicemail here. We don't know their phone number. We're going to fill out this contact information. So let's just give this, let's just use Kevin as an example here. Say he left his name here. He's a seller. We don't know his email. The phone will be typically populated here, right, Kevin? It's just on this account. We don't have that. We'll go ahead and hit save. All right, so let's come back to the inbox here. I just want to remind you guys, the inbox is a way for us, again, to decide, is this a deal opportunity or not? And if it is, we're going to bring it to our deal board. I'm going to show you how to do that. If it isn't, we're just going to maybe we're going to mark this as do not mail, or we're just going to simply archive this so that you don't see it in front of you. We basically want to clear out everything in our inbox. When we archive things, we're not actually deleting, we're just archiving it. We can always bring it back up later. But Kevin, why don't you walk us through as to how do we go from an inbox item onto the deal board?
Yeah. So in most cases, the people who are going to be calling you are ones that receive a letter or an email or some marketing that came to you. So they're going to reach out to you and say, hey, I got your letter in the mail. I want an offer. And they're going to say, my offer code is ABC123, and that offer code is really how we can go quickly into processing these leads. So if I listen to this voicemail and he says, "Hey, my name is Tom, my offer code is ABC123," I can go in and create that deal immediately. Okay, so we are going to listen to this voicemail, and likely it's going to say, "Hey, I am Brian, and my offer code is 12345." So we've got an offer code here that we copied from a campaign. So we're going to select Brian here, and this is going to pre-fill all of the information about our deal. So we've got the deal title is going to be that contact name. We've got the campaign set. We can also change if we want to set the priority or give it an estimated deal value. It's got the campaign, the contact, and then in this case, Brian actually has 3 different properties. So it's going to put all 3 of those properties on the deal, because I want to know that Brian owns 3 properties and I want to be able to negotiate with those individually. So I'll click save. And now we have everything set up. So we've got the contact that's been assigned to this inbox item. We've got the deal, which is now on our deal board, and we can show you how we're going to track that. And then we can do different things. Maybe we want to add a follow-up plan here for Brian. Maybe we want to reply to him and say, thanks for reaching out. We're going to get back to you about an offer, and you can text that to him. You can give him a call back, and all of that information will be recorded for those conversations.
And at this point, Kevin, once we've done that, we've added the deal onto the deal board, which we're going to go through next here. We can pretty much archive this. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. Once I've processed that inbox item, I can archive it. Now, if at any point Brian responds to me, if he sends me a text message or he calls me again, that conversation is going to land back in my inbox as an unread message, and then I can process that again. So like Jessey mentioned, the goal here is to get our inbox to 0. So we want to, every morning we're going to wake up, we're going to go to our inbox, we're going to have a number of leads. We want to walk through all those, creating deals, marking a contact as do not mail, whatever we want to do there. And then we want to archive those messages.
Awesome. All right, so now we're going to work the actual opportunities inside of here. You've done your marketing, you've gotten communication come in. Now we're going to track the deals across these different stages. So this is what we call our deal board. This deal board is specifically just for sellers. You can have a deal board for managing projects to a deal board for buyers. Today on this video, we're just going to focus on the acquisition side. So for sellers that we're tracking here. As Kevin mentioned earlier, you can have multiple maybe multiple seller boards. You have an acquisition manager in a certain state, and another one in another state, and they want to keep things separate with different phone numbers and different emails. They can certainly do that as well. And so typically on a deal board, you're going to have all these columns. These represent stages, and they sort of give you a nice visual way of tracking where all your deal opportunities are in the different sort of stages here as you're moving it through to acquire that property or whatever the end goal here is. So again, it's a nice visual way. Some people call this a Kanban board. We call it our deal board here. And you can see at the bottom here, Brian was created. You can create as many stages as you'd like by hitting add stage. You can drag and move stages around as you'd like as well. You can rename those stages. And so by default, you're going to have your sort of a few stages set up inside of here. So I'm going to go ahead and click into a deal card here. This is what we call a deal card. You can drag again from left to right. A deal card I like to describe it as a container. It contains several things, including the contacts, the property or properties. It's not the property itself, the card. It contains property or properties. Also notes in there and task lists. So everything associated with this actual deal. So I'll click right into it here and we can sort of have a look here. We've got our tasks. These tasks can be automated. You can generate tasks. You can automate them by generating a task and then saving it as a template. We've got a walkthrough on that on our knowledge base, how to do that. We've got Brian Warren here as a contact. And Kevin, we can have multiple contacts on here, right? And when would that sort of happen?
Yeah. So let's say that you're walking through Brian and you've signed a contract and now you need to bring in a title company. So you may want to add that title agent as a contact on this deal. So I I've got Brian the seller, I've got the title agent. Now at any point my team can hop in here and give a call to the title agent. So that could be maybe you have a surveyor that you want to add here to the deal.
Mhm.
So anything like that can be added to that.
Yeah, and under here, you're going to see the properties associated to that deal. So right now, I'm negotiating for all three of these, and I can have a quick look at the property itself and the property fields here with these drop downs. I can also go up to the top here and toggle to that property and have a look at it from here. I'm still on the deal, and make notes or look at the property on the mapping, so you have access to that as well. But back to the deal summary here, Kevin, can you explain how notes work here and what are we using notes for?
Yeah, so notes really are your internal conversation happening around this deal. So for most people, you're going to want to track a bunch of information about maybe I want to track the conversation I had. I want to talk about, I did my initial due diligence. Now I need to loop in another team member to put together a purchase contract. So I can actually using the @ sign, I can mention anybody, and that's going to send that person a notification to come in here and check this deal. I can reply to conversations, which is a great way to be able to separate different things going on. I can also pin conversations or pin notes to the top of the page here. Maybe there's an important note that I want to leave at the top, so I can do that by pinning it. And then I can also yeah, mention replying, pinning. Yeah, so this is really just a way for your internal team to communicate with one another about a specific deal.
Yeah. All right. And one more thing I want to talk about here, going back to the board here, we are moving things from left and right. And so for acquisitions, right, if we're acquiring that property, let's go into one of these here, and it reaches the end here. We actually need to then mark this property as purchased. That's sort of the end goal here. And to do that, we can come into the property itself. We'll go ahead and mark this property as purchased. We're going to enter in the information here, the purchase price, the purchase date, closing costs, additional costs, and funding provided, if there is any funding provided. Those numbers will actually feed into your ROI. So really important for your KPIs as well. Now, that deal card is still going to remain open. If I don't want that visually showing on my deal board anymore, I would come into that deal card itself and hit close deal. There may be times you don't actually acquire a property and it's just one that you're not going to end up, and you'll just want to close it. Closing the deal does not mean you actually purchase the property. You're just closing it and removing it visually from all the open and active deals. You can look at all deals, even the closed ones, using this filter here at the top. All right, I think that covers the deal board here, Kevin. I do want to talk quickly about some of the automations that you can do. Specifically, I think in this video, we're just going to cover the follow-ups, the auto follow-ups. Each one of these each one of these contacts, part of these deals, you can actually enroll them into an auto follow-up by hitting quick enroll here and then enrolling them into one of our follow-up plans. And where we build our auto follow-up is under this auto follow-up section. Now, the whole point of this is we just want to make sure our leads don't fall through the crack. We may want to send them a text message. We may want to send them an email. We may want to remind our team members to call them, or even sending a direct mailer. And that's incredibly powerful. Some of our top users use this feature to continue to send them letters, because letters are actually being kept, and you can actually do like increasing offers on those as well. So let's quickly talk about the auto follow-ups. This is where it's quite messy in here. We do a lot of testing. You can actually create whatever auto follow-up plan you'd like. So I'll go ahead and hit add plan to create one of these plans. Kevin, why don't you walk us through, how do we sort of create one of these follow-up plans here at a high level?
Yeah, so first we'll give it a name. Maybe we've got like a hot lead plan. And now we're going to select the different steps for this plan. So I might want to have different days that a plan is going to happen. So I've got day 1, I want an email to go out. Maybe day 2, I want a text message to be sent. I can also change the time of day that's going to go out. And I want to, in this case, I've got a call reminder. I can also add additional steps. So as Jesse mentioned, maybe I want this to run for a long, long time. I can go ahead and do that. I can also send mailing like he mentioned. So this is a good way to send that. Send
Yep.
those follow-up mailers. So I can click next now that I've got my steps set up. And now it's going to ask for the different steps. I can tell it which account it's going to come from if I want to type in a subject and a body here. I'll also mention that we can select a template at the top there. And so this can be, if you have those saved email templates that you want to use, you can just select that here and not have to type it out every time.
Yeah. One really powerful thing is you can make use of the placeholders here. So you can really customize your messaging, whether it's an email, text, or a mailing, you can fully utilize that. So you can say, hey, John, I'm still interested in your 5 acres. Are you still looking to sell to me in whatever county? All that will be customized and that'll send out. So a great way to continue to follow up and nurture those leads. We know that it takes several touch points to actually close on a deal. So you definitely want to set that up. Now, once you've set that up, coming back to the deal board, wherever you see a contact, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong here, you can just quick enroll them and then add them to one of those plans, and then it'll start firing out the follow-ups.
Yep. So you can quick enroll them just so long as that you have the phone number and the email in that contact.
Yeah.
You'll be able to quick enroll them. Or if not, you can do the regular enrollment from the deal, and then you can fill out all that information there.
Yeah, and once those leads respond back to you, as soon as you get once you get communication from them, that'll pause that automation. All right, a couple smaller things. I just want to finally go through the property page here, and that's going to wrap up this video. So the properties, again, is the basis of everything inside of Pebble. I do want to go through that. A couple things here. When we come to our database, we're going to have a way to really run these different filters to kind of reduce our list to whatever we'd like. So, for example, we can, go and filter down. I've got 45,000 records here. Maybe I want to filter down to just the previous campaign I've sent, which is about 11,000 here. And maybe I want to filter it also down to 5 to 10 acres, then select them all and create a new campaign. And I want to remail them, or I want to spit that list out to skip trace and run a cold calling campaign. You have a lot of power over your data with this sort of filtering function at the top. Now, I want to click into a property record and show you a few things. This page, every single property record gets its own dedicated property record page. You're going to see here the APN, some of the details about the property. On the left here, you're going to be able to see a timeline. How many times did I send a letter to them? When did I create an offer? When did I mark it as purchase? I'm going to see that here visually. Also on the right side, we have a mapping tool here. This allows you to zoom in and out and look at the property. You can look at it from a satellite, look for road access. You can look at elevation as well. You can also turn on and turn off the flood zones and wetlands, seeing where your property sits in. Is this a property you should be acquiring or not, depending on those? So a lot of people are going to come in here and do their initial due diligence. You'll also want to measure your property just to double check it is the right size that is listed from your data provider. You'll also want to be able to you're going to be able to chop up your property and just see what are the estimated parcel size. If you're doing some subdividing, you're going to be able to do that with our mapping function here. Scrolling down here, you're going to be able to generate any sort of a document. So if you're going to make a one-off offer at any time, you can come to a property page here, hit generate document, choose that letter. It's going to actually generate you a preview of that letter, and then you're going to have an opportunity to save that inside of your account. And once you do have a document like I do have here, right, as an example, let's pretend this is a neighbor letter saying, hey, do you want to buy my property? I'm in the area. I can hit send new here. I can send this document off to an associated address. I can upload a list of addresses. And really, for those that are sending out neighbor letters and marketing to neighbors that you own the property and you want to sell it to them, you can actually go to this map here, literally lasso an area. It'll pull all the parcels that you lassoed, let's say 18 here, and hit send, and out it goes in the next business day. All right. Coming back to the property record itself, I also want to talk about these property fields. Every property record will have the exact same, what we call property fields. You can create as many of these fields and field sections as you'd like. All you need to do is come to the cog icon under each of these field sections or hit manage fields here. You can create new sections. Once you click into a section, you can create these property fields. Really important. This is really where your team sees the information about the property. You're no longer finagling with a spreadsheet. You're going to keep everything here. And then this information can get automated out, say on a follow-up or an integration with Zapier. Like, I don't know, maybe you want to Slack your team member about something. It'll draw from here. And any document you generate, it will draw from here. So I can really do highly customized things when all our property data lives inside of here. All right, I think this wraps up our video here, walking you through Pebble, going through our campaigns, going through our inbox and the inbox setting. How do we get things in? Then we get into our deal board, how we're moving things from one stage to another, how you have several different deal boards. We also talked about the property records itself and the contacts. We touched upon our templates and follow-ups. There's going to be more ways that you can get supported inside of Pebbles. On our homepage, to get more support, we've got several things. Under resources here, you're going to be able to find our live training. Our live training, we run sessions every week, multiple times. There's a session for bringing in properties together and then managing your inbox and how we move things to the deal board. These are work-along sessions. I'm a huge believer in learning by doing, so we have those sessions every week. You can click and join here. That'll tell you the time and date you can register on. And then there's also our open office hours. This allows you to come in and just ask questions. One of us will be there. This is a live Zoom call. We also have one-on-one onboarding available as well. Also, under resources, we've got a great success guide that also breaks down a lot of things that we talked about. And finally, our knowledge base. Unfortunately, in this video, we're not going to be able to touch upon every single nook and cranny of Pebble. There's a lot that goes on inside of Pebble. So you're going to be able to find that inside of here. You're going to be able to click on these. He's got videos, he's got diagrams and screenshots to kind of walk you through. Kevin, is there anything else I'm missing here in this in-depth guide and review of Pebble in 2026 here?
Yeah, I mean, there is so much more that we didn't cover today. But yeah, as you can see, Pebble is a full-featured system that has really everything that you need in one toolbox. And that was our goal. We didn't like the systems of having to switch between 3 different apps, going through different phone systems and hopping into an email, and then trying to train our teams to have to do all of this different stuff. We just wanted a way to bring all of that information into one place and really treat Pebble as the single source of truth, that dashboard for everything going on in my land business. And I think you could see today that that's what we have here. So yeah, a bunch of other stuff that we didn't talk about today, but we'd be happy to help you get into those items as well on a future call here.
Yeah, like Kevin said, on a future call, you know where you can join us live. You can also go and book a demo with us. That's available. And then on this YouTube channel where you're watching this on, you're going to find a lot of new content on there, including our podcasts, but also some of the updates. So every month we go and share with you guys what we're working on and what's coming up ahead. You can watch those feature updates. We'll obviously update through email as well, but you're going to be able to see that being demoed here by Kevin and myself. Thanks for going through this video with us and sticking around right to the end. I know it's a lengthy one. If you want to rewind back and rewatch some of the sections, you're going to be able to do so. If you have any other questions, join us on a live session and we'll see you guys around. Thanks again, Kevin.
Thanks, everyone.